Day 2 of the winter meetings, Orlando, Florida. Yesterday we had Shayna Rubin of the San Francisco Chronicle. Today we got the man, the myth, the Juice.
Damn, man, I haven't heard that
The
name in
Juice.
years. I haven't heard that name in years, man. That's crazy. That's a crazy pull. But yes, I'm here, man. Appreciate you having me late at night. This is fun. This is fun, man. I've been wanting to do this for a while, so glad we got this done.
We got Jesús Cano here of Baseball America. You've been at Baseball America for like a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, I started first week of January, so next month will be a year, so which is kind of crazy. Just based out of Arizona, doing a lot of the complex stuff. So Giants-wise, I live down the street from the Papago complex, so I'm quite a lot. Saw a lot of the complex, saw a lot of spring training, and yeah, so my first winter meetings here. So appreciate you being my guide throughout all of this. It's been a fun experience. We're a little tired, but we're out here, man. We out here putting in that work.
You make it a fun experience.
Man, you're so sweet.
Me and you have obviously had a lot of conversations, just like going to spring training, especially when the Giants go to Phoenix to play the Diamondbacks. But me and you have known each other for a while. I don't remember the exact year. I want to say it was like
Pre-2020.
It was definitely pre-2020.
Yeah.
It was 2019.
I mean, I remember the football game. It was you're with the Mercury News, and I was still with Prep to Prep, with Shadow Prep to Prep.
Shout out Prep to Prep.
Las Lomas High School.
It was for sure Las Lomas.
Isaiah Newell, who's an Oregon State commit, I think versus Clayton Valley maybe. I don't know, but it was D3 football and the cheese incident, man. That's kind of what brought us together.
This is such an aggressively 2019 incident. So that was the first time we'd ever met. We had followed each other on on Twitter for a number of years up to that point. Again, I knew you as the Juice. You were super involved with high school sports, and so when I saw you were at the game, I don't even think I knew you were at the game. I just saw you were there, and I was like, that looks like Jesus. So we broke bread. We officially had an opportunity to meet each other, and then I get a text from you that night at midnight, and you're like, someone cheesed my car. Can you explain what cheesing someone's car is? This is not dirty. This is a real thing, though.
Yeah. No AO going on right here. But it was basically, I got back, and it was my 2002 Toyota Celica, which I still have back home. And I remember showing up, and on the driver's side door, there was a piece of, cheddar cheese just slapped on top of it. And I was like, what the heck just happened? I wish I still had the picture of it. Maybe we'll show it up on the screen, whatever. But yeah, I remember that, and I was just like, what the heck just happened? And I literally had just mentioned, I'm like, dude, look what happened. And then I think you told me your car got cheesed a little bit a while ago, not that same year, but before, because you sent me a picture and stuff like that. But yeah, the cheese brought us together, and then I was 2019 covering high school sports, and now we're both covering professional baseball. Kind of crazy how everything comes together, but this is the guy, man. You guys are really fortunate to have him cover the Giants.
This is the guy right here. This is the guy right here.
Nah, man, I'm just a dude.
Nah, are you a dude or a guy?
I'm a dude. I'm a chill guy.
But anyhow, I really appreciate you coming on, and feels like a long time coming. And this felt very apropos to have you on today, considering that the kind of biggest related Giants news today was that the Giants went in today's MLB Draft lottery with, I think it's if you went by record, they were the 15th overall. They would have picked 15th overall, but they had the 12th best odds as far as the number one pick goes. They had 1.01% chance at the number one overall pick. They didn't get the number one overall pick, but they leapfrogged from 12 to number 4, and this is going to give them an opportunity to have their 6th top 5 picks since they moved to San Francisco. The last top 5 pick that they had was Joey Bart in 2018. Number 2, probably the most notable top 5 pick that they've had, though, was Buster Posey going in 2008, I believe, at number 4. And as I mentioned, Jesus, Baseball America, knows a lot about the incoming class of collegiate prospects for the 2026 class, and I want to get into some of the other prospects in this Giants system as well. But what can you tell us about some of the prospects in this 2026 amateur draft class? And can you explain the hashtag rock bottom for people who may not be familiar with that?
Yeah, we're not talking about Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's finisher. We're talking about Rock Chalowski, the UCLA shortstop.
Hey, we're California. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Exactly. And Rock Chalowski, born in Vallejo, California, but grew up in Chandler, Arizona, played at Hamilton High School. And honestly, coming out of high school, if he didn't have such a hard commitment to UCLA, he would have been, probably a top 3 round pick over there, and obviously now he's slated to be the number 1 overall pick. And I think right now it's a one of one thing for him. I think there's nobody else at this current moment. Obviously things can change. I mean, when Paul Skeens went 1 of 1, he hadn't thrown a pitch for LSU, and obviously even leading up to the draft, there were so many questions between him and Dylan Cruz. Obviously Paul Skeens went number 1, and the rest is history for them. But I think when looking at this draft, it's very position heavy. I think you look at last year, it was very position shortstop heavy, but there was a lot of high school players. I think this year there's going to be a lot of college bat arms. Obviously we talked about Rock Chalowski, but there's also other players too, like Justin LeBron. Yes, that's his name, Justin LeBron. Is he going to be number 23 when he makes it? That would be pretty insane. But he's there. I mean, and then there's other shortstops too, like high school shortstop Grady Emerson, Tyler Spangler, local kid from De La Salle High School, same high school where Kyle Harrison went to, where the Giants picked him up in 2020. So a lot of different players going on here, but I would say it's very college heavy this year around.
And it's impossible to say as we're sitting here right now. It's obviously December. The draft isn't until July, but you can kind of foresee, come next July when the draft comes and goes, that it's very possible that this Giants organization is going to have a lot of middle infield talent. They obviously drafted Gavin Killen with the 13th overall pick out of Tennessee, Tony Vitello's Tennessee. Back in January, they signed technically the 2nd overall prospect right behind Roki Sasaki, but as far as the top international position player prospect, Josuar Gonzalez. They are currently the favorites to sign the top position player prospect for next year's international class, Luis Hernandez. You add Johnny Lavelle into that mix as well, and whoever that they select with the 4th overall pick as well, it could very well be another shortstop. And, Bryce Eldridge is at the top of this organization as far as top prospects, and there might be some people that look to the very top of the Giants organization from a prospect perspective and say, aside from Eldridge, there aren't that many guys that are kind of the blue chipper, so to say. But when you kind of look at some of the lower levels of this Giants farm system, it does look like there might be a couple dudes down there.
There are a couple dudes down there, but I think and you mentioned them, Joe Swire, got to see him play in an instructional league. I got to see Johnny Lovell in that amazing ACL team that eventually made it up to low A San Jose, which we'll talk about later today. Obviously, Gavin Keelan. But I think the most important thing is when you're going to the draft, I think middle infielders, specifically shortstop, are a premium to get because they're the most athletic players on the field. And you see a lot of different players. I mean, look at the San Diego Padres, for example. They have they have different shortstops. Fernando Tatis, Jackson Merrill was drafted as a shortstop. There's a lot of different players in that team that obviously shortstop then were able to play in different other positions. So I don't think necessarily stashing on shortstop isn't going to be an issue here. You want to be able to stash the best players possible, or the best players that you want to be able to develop down the road. But I think it's a really good opportunity for the Giants, especially in the year where first year of Tony Vitello, the first year draft and stuff like that. It'll be kind of nice to have his insight a little bit in there too, coming off the college ball and stuff like that. So it'll be really interesting there. But yeah, man, I mean, the Giants are in prime position. I mean, jumping up nearly 8 or 9 slots, whatever it was. I mean, that's a massive jump. There's a lot of teams like the A's who've been kind of screwed by the MLB lottery draft. Not the Giants are very big benefits of everything going on right now. So if I'm a Giants fan, like literally as it was happening, I didn't expect that to happen. And I texted so many of my friends who are Giants fans because I grew up in the Bay Area, and I was like, you guys need to watch the draft right now because it's about to happen. And then getting that number 4 overall pick sets them up for prime position.
You mentioned that you had the opportunity to watch Lavelle as well as Gonzalez, among a lot of other prospects in the Giants system, but kind of zeroing in on those in particular. And again, I want to mention that there are just so many intriguing prospects that the Giants have at the lower levels of the minors, especially when some of those guys went up to San Jose midway through the year. But with those two in particular, especially with them being guys up the middle, just what really stood out to you about both of them respectively?
Talking about Johnny Lovell and Josh Sware?
Yes.
I think the thing with Josh Sware, I mean, I remember the first time I saw him, I was supposed to see another prospect pitch for the Brewers, and then I got a message and I saw the lineup and it said Gonzalez J, and I was like, hold on, what is this? And then I checked in with a source, and they're like, yep, Joe Sware's in town. I immediately booked it and went over to go watch him play, man, and he had recorded 2 hits, stole 2 bases, base running was great, defense was great. I mean, if you would have put him in not a uniform, not on his name and stuff like that, and I didn't know who he was, I would have been so surprised by the way that it was his first game in the stateside debut, and that's everything he was able to do. I mean, I'm excited to see him play in the extended spring training, also the Arizona Complex League. Very good athlete. Really good that the Giants were able to get him. But Johnny Lovell, too, I mean, he made it up to low A San Jose, and really good defense. Really, I mean, he's just such a good player, even at his size. You know, he's not a big player, he's not a hefty player, but he has a little bit of pop, is able to hit the ball all over the field, and also is really smooth defensively. Can play shortstop, can play second base. There's a lot of versatility there. And to your point too, Justice, you know, the Giants are heavily favored to sign Luis Hernandez, which a lot of people, I know the word generational gets thrown out a lot, but Luis Hernandez does have that potential to be a really, really good international prospect for them too. So, I mean, when it comes to them down there on position-wise, they have a lot of good players, but they also have a lot of really good pitchers too. You know, I've talked about my guy, you know, Luis de la Torre this entire time. You know, I think he's going to be really good. Has a great story. We wrote about it about Baseball America, so I'm not going to tell it here, but you could check it out over there. Mexican pitcher, you know, high 90s fastball. If he can develop extra pitches, he's going to be a really good starter, but if not, I can see him being a really elite closer down the road because he has such a great deception, and usually pitchers who rely on deception, you know, don't throw fast, but he's throwing upper 90s. That's really impressive too. Or Henny Kayama, who I got to see during expanded training, who battled pneumonia. I wrote about that story too, and then came back. Stateside, was by far the best pitcher in the complex league. Eventually got promoted and stuff like that, and I think he's only getting better. He's 18 years old. His fastball sits in the mid-90s. I think after he adds more muscle, I know he went through he De La Torre, Kinder Martinez, and a lot of these other guys participated in the Oracle Park prospect training, whatever it's called, to gain some weight and stuff like that, gain some muscle. I think he's going to be really good, man. So when it comes down to it, I mean, if you're a Giants fan, go down and watch the San Jose Giants because they're going to be really, really good down the road.
We've talked about a couple middle infielders. We've talked about a couple, well, more than a couple pitchers at this point. But I want to give some love to the corners. And I think you know where I'm going with this. We both wrote about him. He honestly he got the guy. He got the guy that we're talking about, and that's Parks Harbor, who was part of the Camilo Duvall trade. And at the time, the way that I kind of frame it is Parks Harbor wasn't necessarily ever really considered the headliner of that deal. He was thrown in the deal, but a lot of people put their attention to Jesus Rodriguez, who might be, or very well will be, in the mix for the backup catcher role for the Giants next season behind Patrick Bailey. But since Harbor has joined this organization, all he's done is hit. And when he went to the Arizona Fall League this past fall after the regular season, he just continued to hit. And again, you had the opportunity to talk with him. I think we both had the opportunity to talk with Kyle Haynes about him as well.
Shout out Kyle Haynes.
Shout out to Kyle Haynes. What can you tell us about Parks Harbor, his development, and what's really stood out to you, not only as far as what he's done statistically, but just in the conversation that you had with him? Yeah, I know that one of the things that you mentioned in your story was kind of his work ethic and how he was able to shed a lot of weight prior to this season.
I think it's resilience. Resilience is key. You know, this is a guy who, you know, found a home at Georgia and obviously at other different colleges and stuff like that before he finally settled and went undrafted, and that's something that really motivated him. That's what made him go into the gym and really put in that work and stuff like that, and going from undrafted. And I remember when it's always intriguing to whenever there's to look at every single player in the draft, because what a lot of people don't understand is teams don't look at a spreadsheet and you're like, this guy has good numbers. As I said, there's pro scouts who have watched these guys on the backfield, who have watched these guys in their minor league system, who watch them back as far as college and have consistent reports that are updated. So when they make a trade for a player, isn't like he has a cool. But Parks Harbor does have a cool name, but it wasn't just because of the cool name.
Aggressively Boston coded name.
Oh my God, people are gonna hear that. It's crazy. Like that's all they were yelling during the Arizona Fall League. So I'm not gonna do it myself, because I'm sure he's heard it enough, man. But
I'm sorry, Shell. Do you want to come here for a second? Come here for a second. Come say hi.
That's awesome.
It's not live, but you can come say hi.
How are you?
Derek Shelton right here, new manager of the Minnesota Twins. I got one question for you. How does it feel?
It feels
new
great.
Position.
It feels great. You look good. Your hair's on point. Your beard's on point.
If I'm looking good, you're looking better. Thank you, Shelty. But as we were saying, Parks Harbor, third base prospect for the San Francisco Giants.
Exactly. And I think the big thing with him is, like, you saw his number. I mean, when he first joined the Giants, he actually made our hot sheet because he had he went stupid in Eugene this past when he made it up there, and it just kept on going. And I looked at the numbers. The EVs were really high. It was 107 90th percentile for the exit velocity, which is really good. It's how you calculate the higher end of the exit velocity. And he's up there. His in zone whiff rate, chase rate wasn't that much. It wasn't, it was pretty low, relatively. No, don't have the numbers off the top of my head, but I wrote the story, so I was able to do my research on him. And then watching him in the Arizona Fall League and talking to him, the makeup was there. I mean, this is a guy who, just talking off of him, I think in the future is going to be a coach. And just the way that he approaches baseball, the way he talks about things and stuff like that, like, he's a really good get for them. He's going to be in the top 30 for Baseball America's Giants list, which is done by Josh Norris. So I'm not going to reveal where he'll be, because you guys should subscribe and read that yourself. But he's going to be a really good player. He's played a lot of first base. when he was down there with the Scottsdale Scorpions in the Arizona Fall League, but that was just because they didn't have a designated first baseman. He's athletic enough to play the position. It seems like he's primed to be a third baseman, though, although he could get some reps in the outfield, but he's a really good bat to go from an undrafted guy to being number 15, number something in the what's it called, Giants prospect list. Like, it's going to be really good for them to do. The only concerning thing that I did see after we got the Arizona Fall League numbers was that his in-zone whiff rate was over 40%, which means he's very aggressive in the zone. Obviously, the sample size from a month standpoint, and then obviously everything you go through the entire year of playing baseball, you give a little bit of leeway, but I think next year's going to be really good, and it's just, all about the Giants scouting. They did a really good job finding this guy and turned the guy who was, a throw-in name to the guy that's now, ranked within their system.
I'm sure we could talk all day, all night, pretty much, in this hotel about prospects within the Giants system. We could probably rattle through the entirety of the all 30 here, but I'll give you the floor for one final question. If there's one guy you want to consider a sleeper, so to say, there's one guy I have in mind personally, but I'm going to give you the floor. Is there one guy you consider a sleeper, someone that you think over the course of the 2026 season, Giants fans should, type the name into Fangraphs, type the name into MILB.com, and just kind of keep tabs on one guy in particular at any level of their farm system? Or you can just say, screw the sleeper and say, there's this guy with insane tools, you got to go look and see.
I think one guy for sure, I'll give you two guys. I think one guy that's I think's already made plenty of noise has been Carlos Gutierrez, Mexican, outfielder for the Giants, killed it in low A San Jose, had really good numbers. He actually played against Bryce Elridge when he was playing for Mexico and whatever U18, in national circuit and stuff like that. So you didn't know it at the time, but there was two future Giants playing against each other in that game. But he's done enough well. There's enough written about him there. I think a guy that's going to make his stateside debut this upcoming year is going to be Alberto LaRoche, right-handed pitcher, who was in the Dominican Summer League last year. I mean, this guy's young, born in 2005, so it makes me feel a little bit old.
Don't say that.
I know, man, but just looking at the report that we have from here right now, did amazing in 2025 in the DSL, has a four-seamer that peaked at 96, while sinker reached 98 miles per hour at that young age. That's really good to be able to do that. Has really good shape on it, and he's really young. He's going to make a stateside debut, so there's going to be a lot to work on, but I would say Alberto LaRoche is definitely a guy that you're going to be able to pay attention on.
There's probably a lot of guys in this Giants farm system with tools in the 60s, 70s, maybe even 80s. You might say that Bryce Eldridge has maybe some 80 grade raw power. My guy Jesus here has 80 grade. I'm trying to think of a term. I thought I was going to be able to think of a term. This is an 80 grade homie right here. So Jesus, thank you for coming on. This is a long time coming. I'm sure over the course of the season, I'm sure, especially during spring training, we'll have a lot of opportunities.
We'll do this at Papago. We'll do this. I'll hook it up to the point where we'll be able to do it with the amazing background in the back that they have right there with the buttes and stuff like that. That might be the prettiest view, but also you're on the show, so you might be the prettiest view. So the vibe.
Anyhow, Jesus, day 2, winter meetings. Catch y'all later.